Well, hello again, everybody. We've made it to another Touching Greatness music special, and it's an extravaganza today because we're heading back to the Brooklyn Dodgers and the Village. Yes, Greenwich Village when it really mattered. Our guest is Art Podell. Open it up for us, Vinny.
Hi, everybody. This is Vin Scully. The home of Ted Sobel is on the air.
Thank you, Vince, and hello again, everybody. And Art Podell, he should have not need any introduction, but we're going to introduce him anyway because Art, you deserve it. You're just going to be a kid of 90 coming up on October 2. Is that correct?
Yep.
Can you count that high? I can't count to 10.
Yeah, if I knew I was going to live this long, I would have taken better care of myself.
Wait a minute now. Who'd you steal that from?
I don't know. I don't know.
Probably millions of people, actually.
Right, absolutely.
So
Yeah,
Art
well,
was
glad
with
to be here.
the new Christy Minstrels. We've had him on before with Barry McGuire of Eva Destruction fame, and they put together just a great show here last year, and just had such a fantastic time. But before we
Barry's still
continue,
cooking. Barry's still cooking, which sends his love.
oh, that's nice. That's nice. He's up in Washington State,
Up
and
in Spring, Washington. Yep.
yep, and he just loves where he lives too. He's on the
Yep.
outskirts. He does his gardening and all kinds of fun stuff, right, Art?
Yep.
That's beautiful. So again, please subscribe to Touching Greatness, your podcast of choice here on YouTube. I don't care what anybody says. The bottom line for Art Podell is he's got a special night coming up in October on the 10th. That's going to
Yep.
be 8 days after your 90th birthday, and you're going to celebrate with. Tell us all about this show, Art.
Oh, it's just a show that I put together at the urging of some wonderful folks up in a little town north of Los Angeles called Tehachapi. Deb and Peter Cutler run a little venue up there called Fiddler's Crossing. They've had some wonderful folk singers up there, some contemporary artists. They've had some wonderful shows they put on a regular basis. They own a music store. And I had been going up there because I've got a few friends that have performed there.
Yep.
And they suggested, why don't you tell? Because every time I'd go up there, we'd sit around and tell stories. And I'd tell stories about, my past, which goes back a ways. And my experiences growing up and being a young folk singer when folk singing was just becoming popular again
Yep.
in the village in the early '60s and the late '50s. And so they said, why don't you put together a bunch of your stories and we'll just get a crowd of folks who would like to hear them, and we'll put on a show. So they did that, and it was on a Sunday afternoon at 4 o'clock. There were, a nod to the old folks who just want to get home early, and the place ended up being filled up with old and young, and everybody came. It stunned me. And I just had put together a bunch of stories and things that had happened to me along the way,
Yep.
which at the time didn't seem much like they were important, but they turned out to be some events that were seminal in the progress of folk music uh, in in the Greenwich Village, and then later on in California, then in Colorado. So did a show that was so successful. They've urged me to do it in Los Angeles, and I'm going to do the show again in
Great.
Los Angeles at Boulevard Music in Culver City on the 10th of October, assuming I survive my birthday on the 2nd.
I'm sure you will. And by the way, tell everybody where they can get their tickets, and we'll talk about that a couple of times in the show.
Okay, that would be really helpful, but thank you for
Of
doing
course.
that.
Yeah. So, what should they go to your website or just to
They
Boulevard
can go to
Music? Which is
Boulevard. They
easier?
can go to Boulevard Music, and there's
Okay.
only one Boulevard Music. It's in Culver City, California.
On Sepulveda,
And
right?
pardon?
It's on Sepulveda.
Yep, it's on on Sepulveda Boulevard, as I used to call
Exactly.
it.
That's what my
Yeah,
dad from Brooklyn said when he first came here. He didn't know how to pronounce that damn word.
right.
That's so
Except for
funny.
you.
What is it
Right.
about you guys from New York? You can't pronounce Sepulveda.
Oh, you ought to see the trouble I had with La Jolla.
I don't even want to know.
I swear to God, Dick Rosmini and I were going to a party after a show, af- after a show, and both of us had just come out from New York,
Yeah.
and the party was supposed to be on La Jolla Avenue, and we drove by La Jolla 15 times and didn't put two and two together. We got there at midnight.
They didn't teach you one Spanish word back in New York, did they?
No, well, it never dawned on me that that's the way. I was looking for Hoya.
No, I got you. I got you. So let's go back to those earliest days, and there's something about the folk music times back in the late '50s. We talked about it with Barry McGuire on our last show, but mention some of the names that were maybe inspirational to you to get you started in your guitar
Well,
and folk work.
to be honest with you, the earliest names that got me involved
Yeah,
were people like Josh White,
yeah,
um, people like Josh White, Ed McCurdy, Pete Seeger, um, the Weavers.
yeah.
Uh, uh, I can think of just everybody in that era. Will Holt, who is the fellow who wrote Lemon Tree.
Oh,
You
okay.
know, and around the village, there were local heroes. There were people that eventually became part of the big mix when folk music took off. Dick
Right.
Rosmini, I mentioned him before, was a
Yeah.
fabulous guitar player that everybody gave a nod to. There's that picture of Greenwich Village folk scene. That looks like Washington Square, and that's
Okay.
what it was like. Uh, that guy holding the guitar looks like me, but I didn't know
He
any
does
white.
look a little like you.
I
Are
don't
you
know.
like Barry, where you didn't make sure you copyrighted stuff in advance?
You're right. But it was a time when people were learning folk songs. The Lomax family
Yeah.
had just dug up a wealth of and a treasure trove of folk music from the South, from the Appalachian Mountains, from the Brazos River in
Yeah.
Texas. And they were bringing songs up that none of us had ever heard before, and a style of music that nobody had ever heard before. It was just one guy, one guitar, one guy, one banjo, one woman, one fiddle, just in songs that just talked about everyday things, living, uh,
Yeah.
just just thought songs about life.
Yeah.
And
Exactly.
every one of the songs came from real events and real people. They brought them up to the city, and all of us were young college kids, right in that age. I even got infected with it when I was in high school. I'd sneak up to the village and
When
hang
did you
out.
start learning to play guitar, though?
I started learning to play guitar when I was 7 or 8 years old, or
Wow, that
10,
helps a
8 or 10, something. I don't remember when, but I went to a summer camp,
Okay.
and there was this lovely counselor uh, who I fell in love with. Absolutely, she never knew that I fell in love with her. But I was a little squirt, and she was a beautiful counselor. But she played the guitar and sang folk songs. That did it for me. I had to learn how to do that. I came home. I insisted that I get a guitar, and my parents said, "Why don't you learn a real instrument like a accordion?"
Right.
That was their idea of a real instrument. And I said, "No, I want a guitar." And my uncle Jack bought me a guitar. He didn't know what it was. He bought a Stella guitar. I think it was used, and
Yeah.
it just was. It was hell to play. I mean, I tore
Really.
my fingers apart. But I learned chords, and then I looked up a good teacher. My mother drove me there, and I started my lessons as a young kid, and I was playing Burl Ives folk songs, Jimmy Crack Corn,
Oh,
things
wow.
like that. By the
Sure.
time I was 10, 11 years old, I was playing those folk songs, and I tried to learn everything. And I listened to all the records, whatever was out there. The
Yeah.
Weavers, you know, the
Yeah.
Weavers, Pete Seeger and Josh White. And then when I was in late high school, early college, I was fortunate enough, I went to Columbia, which was uptown New York. So it was a quick subway ride down to Greenwich Village. And so I'd run down to the village and they'd have these concerts at night. They had these theaters in Greenwich Village they were referred to as off Broadway.
Okay.
And there were theaters like Circle in the Square, and they would run shows like the Three Penny Opera, Kurt Weill shows, and there were a couple of clubs, but the clubs were kind of jazz clubs with drinking,
Okay.
and the village had nightclubs. But what they did with these theaters was after the plays were over, they'd clear the stage, just move all the stage, all the scenery aside and cover them with blankets, put up a microphone, and then at midnight, they'd open the doors again for these late night concerts. And that's where I lived for those concerts. We'd get in there at midnight and actually saw Pete Seeger. We saw Will Holt himself, Josh White, Brownie Terry, Sonny McGee. Will Holt is the guy who wrote Lemon Tree.
Right.
And then there were some groups of guys who were maybe one half or a generation older than us,
Okay.
a group called the Tarriers. That was Bob Carey, Eric Darling, and guess who? Famous actor. His name escapes me right now.
Okay.
But before he went into acting, it'll come to me before we're finished with that. This is one of the penalties of being 90 years old. As my friend Dick Rosmini would say, a couple of drops splash out of the bucket now and then. Alan Arkin, I knew it would come back.
Alan Arkin, wow, interesting.
Alan Arkin was a folk singer.
Okay, interesting.
With those two other guys called the Tarriers, and you can look them up online and listen to them sing all their
Terriers,
calypso.
like three dogs who escaped? Is that what they were?
No, Tarriers, Tarr.
Oh, TAR. Okay.
Not the Terriers. That was a different group.
Yeah, exactly.
Bit.
So does any of these pictures bring back memories of actual places you're walking down the street in those days?
Every one of them. Every
Okay,
one of them.
give us an example here. Like, what are we looking at here? Because I have no idea.
Well, you're looking at a street in Greenwich Village. Let me look at that sign and see what it says. No, I don't recognize that one. But these typical streets in Greenwich Village. Greenwich Village was a small Italian neighborhood with fruit stands and small shops and little apartments. Now that's a little later on. That's probably a year or two after I left, but it's the same.
Oh, okay.
What you're looking at there where it says Hootenanny, that's the Cafe Wa.
Okay.
The sign says the Cafe Wa.
Yeah.
And across the street from it, that little street that it's on, not the big one that you see, is Minetta Lane. That is the name of that street. And Minetta's Tavern is I had some wonderful events that happened in Minetta's Tavern for me. Can I tell you one?
Yes, please.
This is funny because I had established myself at Cafe Wa. I loved the place. I used to go there. I used to sing there. And when I formed my group with my partner Paul, we sang there often. And that's where I met Peter Yarrow and Noel Stuckey. And that's where I saw a whole ton of people. I had an old high school pal of mine named Paul Potash. And we formed a group called Art and Paul, and we had 2 albums for Columbia Records. We recorded those in 1958. It's even before the 60s. I have the actual original recording sheets from Columbia Studios. It's time stamped, 1958. That was our first album. And if I could find that guitar again, I'd Be a Happy Man.
Now,
I
what was
don't
it
know.
about that guitar that? And first of all, why
It
don't
just
you have it? What happened to it?
I don't know. I left it at somebody's house and
Oh no.
it disappeared. And when I went back, it was gone. But that's another story. But that was my partner, Paul. And we
Yep.
had an act on Columbia Records. We were so different from all the other folk singers.
In what way?
Well, Paul's background, first of all, Paul had a magnificent voice.
Okay.
He had a magnificent baritone voice. But his background was in showbiz.
Okay.
And we did folk songs. So that's all we did on our 2 albums for Columbia. We
Right.
recorded folk songs. But those songs that we recorded, we changed the arrangements. We did not stick to the traditional. We took each song and made a little drama out of it.
Oh,
And we had a small cadre of people that absolutely adored us. And we recorded those albums at probably the most legendary, finest recording studio in the world. Back in the day, the Columbia Records 30th Street Studio, which
outstanding.
was an old wooden church with high ceilings. And the recordings made there are still treasured today.
Is it
So much
because of the acoustics of the room?
the acoustics of the room. It had a
Okay.
30-foot ceiling with wooden walls and wooden
Okay.
floor, and the sound was natural. There was no processing. You recorded the song directly to tape. If you
Sure.
made a mistake on the last song, on the last note, you started over.
Oh no.
Yeah,
That's a lot of work.
that was what recording was. This was the studio where Simon and Garfunkel eventually came in after us and recorded all of their original stuff.
Yeah, the fake Art and Paul. There they are.
There they are. Well, they couldn't call themselves Art and Paul
Exactly.
because
Tell that story, please, because we talked about it the last time with Barry McGuire.
well, when Simon and Garfunkel came to Columbia, they didn't have a name. They were still looking for a name. They called themselves Tom and Jerry, Frick and Frack.
Exactly.
They went to Columbia Records, and Columbia said, well, the one name you can't have is Art and Paul because we have an act called Art and Paul signed. And when Paul Simon did that big TV special that he did just a few months ago,
Yeah.
he even talked about that. He said, we looked for a name. They tried Tom and Jerry, they tried Frick and Frack, they tried everything. And then Goddard Lieberson, who was president of Columbia Records, told us you can't have Art and Paul because we have an act called Art and Paul. Well, anyway, the Art and Paul records were so unique, and it was an approach to folk music that nobody had ever tried. We tried a dramatic approach. We changed chords, we changed melody, we turned every song into a one-act play. It was so far into the ethnic folk music lovers, the people who wanted it to be authentic folk music,
Right.
whatever that means, that the Columbia, the folk music establishment kind of looked at us and said, "You're good, you're great, we love listening to you, but we can't sell you because we
But
don't
what are
have
you doing, right?
Right. What are you doing? Anyway, the pressure it was so great. Over the years, what happened was they finally realized it about 3 or 4 years ago, and they re-released both Art and Paul albums.
I saw that. That's so great.
They were released digitally, so you can find them on the Columbia Archive, or you
Yeah.
can find them on, and the quality of recording on those recordings is so different from what you hear today. You're sitting
In a
right
good
there
way?
in a great way. This
Really,
was
because
recorded.
well, obviously there's no auto tune or anything. You want it as natural could be, right?
It was as natural and clear as possible, and
Nice.
those were wonderful, wonderful albums. Anyway, my partner, who was my childhood friend Paul, passed away just this last year, and
Yeah.
we went back there to Kansas where he was living, and put up all the old music and played them. These are all folk songs of the day, what you're showing on the screen, but every one of them was a song that we reinterpreted. And of course, the folk music purists at the time looked at us as though we were heretics, because we were taking liberty with the music of the people,
Right.
And
Did you
God
write
knows
any of these yourself, or these are all covers?
on this album, we didn't write anything except for one song that Paul wrote, but we sure reinterpreted these songs.
Okay.
I mean, if you know any of these songs from Library of Congress records, you listen to our recordings. It's not the same. It's not the same mood or flavor. We turned every song into a dramatic one-act play,
Wow.
and it was interesting. But the actual sound that we did in the studios was just incredible.
How much rehearsing did you guys have to do? Because you almost turned it into a little mini play. That had to be a ton of practice, right, for that?
Yeah, it's very perceptive of you. We had a little one-bedroom railroad apartment on Fifth Street off of Third Avenue. It's now called the East Village, but back then
Oh, okay.
it didn't even deserve a name. It was Lower East Side adjacent.
Right.
I mean, we had gang fights going on down one end of the block and a kosher deli at the other end. So I mean, we had the spectrum of New York at our feet, but we sat in that apartment and literally rehearsed 8 to 12 hours a day for
Wow.
a good year before we even laid anything down on tape. And it shows in the work. If you listen
Sure.
to Paul's stuff, it's meticulous. We did an arrangement of my favorite things that Theodore Bickel said he'd never heard anything that's precise in his life.
Do you remember the moment or one of the earliest times where you looked at each other and said, "Okay, we're ready, let's go"?
You know something? It was sort of like that. There was a coffee house down in the basement in the ground floor of the apartment house across the street from us on Third Street.
Right.
And we went there once, and we knew that we were ready when somebody came over to me and said, "We're going to a party, and and if you guys want to come, we'd like you to come with us. And guess what? Art and Paul are going to be there."
Okay.
So
That's great.
when he said that to me, I said, "Paul, we've made it. We're ready to record.
Somebody knows us, right?
Somebody knows us."
That's
That
awesome.
was a big moment for us.
Well, how do you go from that to actually being signed by Columbia, though? I mean, how long of a period of time did that take? And did you meet somebody at one of the clubs, or they just approached you, or what?
It was, once again, all of those things happen by circumstance, happenstance, and luck. It was real simple. I had been very busy at Columbia, at Columbia University in organizations. And one of the secretaries, one of the organizations I was in, was married to a guy who was trying to break into being a showbiz manager.
Okay.
And he had a bunch of contacts. So I talked to her, and she introduced us to her husband. He listened and came to us one day and said, "I got you an audition at Columbia Records."
Now, listen to what? Did they come and watch you live, or
He came to our apartment and listened to us sing.
literally to your apartment? Okay.
He came to our apartment, listened to us sing, and he hadn't done it. He was trying to break into being a manager because he had an in at Columbia Records.
Oh, okay. So you were helping him too.
So we're helping him too. So he came and listened to us, and he said, "If you guys want to sign a contract with me, and we'll make the contract good only if I can get you this deal at Columbia." We
Right.
said, "Okay, we'll do that." And he went in and he had a meeting with Mitch Miller, who was head of A&R at Columbia.
Not
And
the
Mitch,
Mitch Miller who used to be the band leader.
yeah, but he was head of artists
Oh.
and artist relations at Columbia.
Okay.
So, and Mitch said, "Well, this folk music thing's a big thing, and these guys sound great to me."
Oh,
He
nice.
said, "And no skin off my back. Let's sign them." we don't have to hire a band. We don't have to
Right.
hire a thing. We own the studio. I have to pay 2 engineers, and we'll get something on tape and send it out to the radio stations. If it's a hit, what's our investment here?
Right.
We didn't have a signing bonus or anything like that.
Yeah, 2 million up front.
Yeah, yeah, right. 2 million up front.
2 million hand claps.
Yeah, right.
Congratulations. Let's do
2 million used tape cartridges.
this.
Anyway, but that's that story.
Okay. Well, what do you recall about like the earliest times you actually played live with Paul, as far as the feelings? Were you really nervous, or were you guys just so confident? Like, we got this down. Let's just have a great time.
Oh,
How much
we
of that
were
was in there?
we were absolutely committed to it.
Great.
We played the Cafe One night after night, and that was really that's where I met Peter Yarrow. That's where I met. In fact, I had been working with a trio singing international folk songs in
Okay.
New Jersey to make a living while I was in college, going around to recreation centers and places of worship and singing songs. And uh, and when I met Peter Yarrow, I had just signed with Columbia, and we were kind of like hot shots in the village because we had a contract with Columbia, and
Yeah.
and Peter needed money. He had just come from Cornell,
Okay.
and he had just come from Cornell, and so I
Yeah. Is he
gave
a
him.
few years younger than you?
Peter was a couple of years younger than me.
Okay.
Yeah, he had just left Cornell. He came,
Okay.
he came down to the village, and I replaced myself in the trio that I had in New Jersey, singing that stuff with Peter,
Yep.
and I had to teach him all the songs. A lot of the songs were in Hebrew. There were a lot of Israeli songs there too, and I had to teach Peter the songs syllable by syllable.
Wow. That's
and
great.
and he took the job. And funny thing was, here we go, 2016.
Yes.
I happened to have been in Arizona
Okay.
doing a show for a friend of mine at a big theater in Higley, the Performing Arts Center for the city,
Okay.
doing a show. And they had Peter Yarrow booked for the next night, and I hadn't seen Peter since Greenwich Village. And
Wow. Oh, I
and
thought
this
you
is
guys stayed in touch. I didn't realize that.
we stayed in touch, but I hadn't seen him
Seen him
because
literally, physically.
well, physically, how do you stay in touch? We were on the road; they were on the
Yeah.
road.
Yeah.
We'd see each other fleetingly at
Sure.
O'Hare Airport
Okay.
while we
Gotcha.
were changing planes.
Yeah.
We didn't do any concerts together, but I saw
Okay.
Peter, and we picked him up at the airport in Arizona. And Peter got off the plane. Of course, we had always been in touch with
Sure.
each other. We were close friends. And I said, "Do you remember that song I taught you?" He said, "Yeah." He said, "I'm doing it tonight at the big concert.
Oh,
Would you come over
nice.
and do it with me?" So I went up and I did it with him. We
That's
just
great.
fell into. We were back at the Cafe Wa on stage, and
That's nice.
yeah, we
Did
did that.
anybody
Yeah,
get a video of that?
there's a very bad video of it, but it was just done off a camera. I can dig it up and
Yeah, that'd
uh,
be fun to see
see if
that.
I
That
can
would be
get you a
great.
copy. Yeah, yeah. No, I went up there. It was just Peter and me, and we did it. Peter and I remained friends until he passed recently.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah. Fascinating guy, and Peter Paul and Mary, fascinating. Again, we talked about it the previous show, but we got to mention it. I don't care what anybody says. I don't even care what you say. You started Peter Paul and Mary. just
I
tell just
didn't,
tell the people the background on that.
I didn't start him at all. When I got to the cafe, Paul, whose
Yes.
name his name is Noel,
Yes.
actually. Noel was the MC. He is an incredibly facile person. He had just come from Michigan,
Okay.
and he was a rock and roller jazz player.
Right.
Uh, And here he is, he's plunked in here, and he had a great wit. He was an MC. He would MC the shows at the Cafe Wa. He
Oh,
would tell
okay.
a few jokes, he'd do some comedy shtick,
Nice.
he'd sing a song which was not quite a folk song, you know,
Yeah.
Cindy Lou and Lulu, uh,
Okay.
that kind of stuff. He'd do that, and Peter was the folk singer. Peter was the guy
Yeah.
who got up there and sang the folk songs of the day, and he was wonderful. Now here comes a story which, and I have to preface it
Yeah.
with the fact that this is what happened. Now, how it developed, I have no idea because it's out of my control. Okay, but this is what happened. Remember, I pointed out Minetta Tavern across the street from the
Yeah.
Cafe One when you
Yeah.
showed me the picture. I was sitting in Minetta Tavern having a cup of coffee at the counter with Peter.
Okay.
Peter looked at me and said, Albert, we all knew who Albert was. It was Albert Grossman, who was the big manager of all the big folk group music acts. He's the guy who managed the Limelighters, and he said he wants me and Paul and a girl to form a group called Peter, Paul, and Mary.
Ah,
Okay,
he
he
even
said,
gave you the name without any real names.
I don't think he even mentioned the name.
Okay,
I'm
but it was the same as
He
what Peter
he
Paul and
wants
Mary.
a group with two folk
Got it.
singers and a girl.
Got
He
it.
said, he said she has to have no vibrato. I remember this.
Okay.
She can't have vibrato, and she's got to be beautiful, and
Okay.
she's got to be able to sing. She's
Right.
got to really have a voice. And I had just come the week before from a concert that was put on by an ad hoc put together group that got together every now and then called the Tune Tellers.
Okay.
And it was an older generation than me and Peter and Noel of a village stand, village. Um, these people were solid village folk singers for a
Okay.
slightly older generation. It was Ralph Rensler, it was Mike Seeger, it was Tom Paley, it was some of the guys from the New Lost City Ramblers. These guys were half a generation or a generation older than us. And it was a big group, and it was obviously a group that doesn't sing together all the time. It was
Okay.
thrown together. It was one of those midnight concerts that I went to all the time.
Okay.
And the girl standing in the middle was Mary Travers. And she just knocked me out. And when
Wow.
Peter described what they were looking for, there was no question in my mind. I took a piece of napkin and I wrote Mary Travers on it. And I pushed it over. I said, Peter, look this girl up. She's exactly what you just described.
Wow.
Now, I found out later that Peter, Paul, and Mary was indeed Peter Yarrow, Noel Stuckey, and Mary Travers. Whether Peter took that piece of paper and forgot it, and Mary, I suspect that Mary came to them through several channels. She was such an obvious choice. So, did I introduce them to Mary Travers? No. Uh, did I mention Mary Travers to Peter before he ever heard of her? Yes.
Okay. So there's a maybe in there.
There's a big maybe in there, but I
Yes, a
knew
giant maybe.
I knew that was the right person for the.
But did you meet Mary at all at that night, or you just wrote
Oh
her name
yeah, yeah.
down?
No, I wrote her name down because I had heard her, and I had thought to myself, this woman is incredible. She's a great folk singer, and
Got it.
again, here I am in my late teens, early 20s,
Sure.
and here's this goddess singing folk songs. Tell me I didn't remember her name.
That's great. I'm really surprised though that somewhere over the years that you and Peter wouldn't have had this chat. Hey, did you ever do anything with that napkin with her name
I
on it? Or
never had the conversation with Peter.
that's fascinating to me. That would
Well,
have been
we
one of the
didn't.
first things I asked. It's like, hey, did you take my advice or not?
Right. Well, I can't do it now. Peter left us last
No,
year.
I know, unbelievable.
Yeah.
So, and what do
And
you remember?
Peter and I remained friends all the way to the end. We talked.
That's
We
great.
didn't let any time go by without being
Uh,
in touch with each other.
And how about Paul or Noel? How well did you get to know him?
I still talk to Noel. Noel
Oh, you do.
has,
Nice.
yeah, I still talk to Noel. Noel's
Good.
very active. He's his daughter has got a foundation, and
Nice.
they're doing really good in the world. They're helping people,
Great.
and they're spokesmen for very very positive causes. And Noel's as far as I know, just swimmingly, just doing
Beautiful.
great.
That's outstanding. Okay,
Yeah,
so talk about this song here. What was it about? Was it Art and Paul who first recorded this, or how do I have this right or wrong?
here's how.
Puff the Magic Dragon.
Here's how you have it.
Okay.
Peter, Paul, and Mary were in the process of assembling their repertoire.
Okay.
Paul and I were still living in our apartment on Third Street,
Yeah.
on Fifth Street off of Third Avenue, and Peter came to us, and Peter, Paul, and Mary were in the process of assembling their act,
Okay.
and Peter came to us and said, "I've got this song that I wrote." Puff the Magic Dragon. I had heard it at Cafe Wa. Peter had sung it a few times. He said, Albert says that we can't record it.
Right.
He said, it's too controversial. Some people think that it's about drugs,
Yeah.
and he doesn't want us to record it.
Yes. Yes.
He said, so if we're not going to record it, would you guys like to have it? Well, at the time, we had just finished our second album for Columbia. We weren't about to record anymore, but we loved the song. And we were starting to gain some real traction in the West.
Okay.
We were invited back to Boulder, Colorado 3 or 4 times. We sold out Boulder, Colorado.
Nice.
We played in Boulder. We started singing at the Troubadour, and we sang at the Ice House in Pasadena.
Sure.
And one of the jewels in our show was Puff the Magic Dragon.
Okay.
People knew us by Puff the Magic Dragon. And when you'd hear the name Art and Paul, a lot of people would say, oh, Puff the Magic Dragon. Bob Stain would verify that. Bob was the guy who owned the Ice House, who ran the Ice House. He didn't own it, he ran it. But if it was Art and Paul, it was Puff the Magic Dragon. We closed every show with it. Well, we did it in Colorado at the University of Colorado.
But that was Peter's song, though, right?
Peter's song. Oh, absolutely.
Okay.
Peter's song. It was Peter's song. But Peter, Paul, and Mary had not recorded it, nor did their manager want them to record it, because he didn't. Excuse me.
Yeah.
He did not want even the inference of the drug culture invading Peter, Paul, and Mary, and there was a great deal of apocryphal scuttlebutt that the song "Puff the Magic Dragon" was about marijuana.
And it really wasn't, correct?
It really wasn't. But it had that. I think the word puff.
Yeah, I get it.
But Paul and I did it as a children's song.
Yeah.
And we even closed shows with it. We had the audience singing with us. Well, we did a concert at the University of Colorado, UC, because we were so popular in the clubs in Colorado. They booked us at the university for a concert, and we had a full house, and we did Puff the Magic Dragon. Well, unbeknownst to us, some guy had a hidden recorder and recorded that.
Huh.
And that was 4 years or 3 or 4 years before Peter, Paul, and Mary had recorded it.
Interesting.
Okay. And what happened was is sooner or later, somebody got a hold of the tape and released it on a bootleg album. And once it was out there, it was out there. It was
Sure.
all over YouTube and everything. But it's 3 or 4 years before Peter, Paul, and Mary recorded it.
Yeah.
So that's the story of Puff the Magic Dragon. We were known by Puff the Magic Dragon. Who knows what would have happened? Of course, we were getting ready to go back and go to Columbia Records and say let us record it. But
So
once
you
they
never officially recorded it anywhere
no,
with Columbia.
no official recording, but if you go to YouTube and look at Puff the Magic Dragon, Art and Paul, you'll
That's
hear our
great.
version. As a matter of fact, it's validated because at the opening of the song on stage, I introduce it and I say, there's a song that's being sung and was written in New York by a fellow named Peter Yarrow.
Okay.
And the name of his group is Peter, Paul, and Mary. And the audience just cracks up laughing at the thought that a group would be called Peter, Paul, and Mary. Because nobody had heard of them yet.
What year would that have been about?
I don't know. I don't have the exact
Like
year.
around 1960-ish?
It was 62 or something like that.
Okay,
No,
interesting.
61 maybe.
Okay.
Yeah,
Wow.
Peter, Paul, and Mary didn't record it until 63 or
Yeah. That's fascinating.
yeah. So
you get
that's
your-
what
Can
That's
you get
one
your
of those
guitar
good-
out and play a little of that for us?
Puff the Magic Dragon. I
Yeah.
haven't played it in so many years. What are
Oh,
you
yeah.
kidding?
You could probably do that in 5 seconds. I think I know. There you go. I love
But
this.
the art book. Live by the sea,
Yeah.
frolicked in the autumn mist in a I believe.
Nice.
Little Jackie Paper, love that rascal Puff. Brought him strings and jelly wax and their fancy stuff. It happened. Anyway, that's the song.
Nice.
Do you want to hear a great story about that?
Yes, please.
This is a great story, and it's such a tribute to Peter.
I'm trying to get your picture back up here. I lost your go ahead. Keep talking.
It's such a sweet story. Peter's mom put him through school.
There you go.
Put him through Cornell University,
Okay.
cleaning apartments in an apartment house.
Wow.
And when he got his first royalty check for Puff the Magic Dragon, which was huge, he bought the apartment house for his mother.
Oh, that's nice. Very nice.
Isn't that lovely?
I love it. Very nice. Good story. Excellent. All right. So, how long did you go with Art and Paul before? So you were in LA, you moved to Los Angeles with Paul, is that correct?
Yeah. Paul and I, we hit the Los Angeles scene just when the folk music, the whole folk music scene was exploding. The Troubadour was had been a fancy restaurant. It was kind of half closed. We talked Doug Weston into letting us play at the Troubadour, and he said he couldn't pay us. And we said we don't need to get paid. We just need a place to sleep and some food. And he said you can sleep in the dressing room. And I said, well, we have two of us. There's two dressing rooms. So he said, there's two dressing rooms. You can sleep there. And he said, I'll have my barista, a fellow by the name of Bob, remember him. He said, "We'll have our barista make you sandwiches, a
Nice.
couple of sandwiches, and you can sleep in the dressing rooms, but I can't pay you." Say, because I don't know whether I want to keep it open. Well, it was just at the beginning of the big folk boom in Los
Sure.
Angeles, and we played the Troubadour for 14 weeks.
Oh,
Um,
wow.
we played 14 weeks at the Troubadour. We slept in the dressing room, but it was when everybody was coming to LA at the
Sure.
time. A lot of people had moved out of the village. They were coming to LA. Tommy and Dickie Smothers showed up.
Yeah.
Just a whole bunch of people. The Hootenannies showed up. Um, uh, Dolan Ellis, the Randy Sparks Three, um, Joe and Eddie, and then the big artists started showing up at the Troubadour.
Is that where you met Randy to end up in the Minstrels?
Yeah, that's where I met. That's exactly where I met Randy and ended
Okay.
up in the group. What happened with Art and Paul was Paul had never really wanted to be a folk singer. He had a gorgeous voice. His goal in life was to be an actor. And
Okay.
so when we got to Los Angeles, it's a shame, but it isn't a shame. It's the way life works. You
Yeah.
have to follow your dream, and he followed his dream as an actor. We probably would have gone a lot farther because we really had a big audience in Los Angeles, and folk music was just taking off. And
Yeah.
we had a lot of fans in the business who were going places. Um, but everybody was just starting out. So Paul and I broke up, and I ended up writing music for Tommy and Dickie,
Nice.
and I wrote music for Henry Mancini's publishing company, and they got a few recordings for me, and things were good until the new Christy Minstrels came along, and it I folded into that one very comfortably,
Sure.
and that's when we took off, and that we took off running after that.
That's
That
great.
was 3-4 years of absolute madness, but we did real well.
Do you remember the moment when Paul said, "Hey, you know what? I'm done with this. I just want to try. I got
Yeah,
to
I
change my."
do. Yeah, I do.
What was
And
that like? That must have been a little, even though you've probably felt it was coming, right?
yeah, I knew it was coming. It was a moment. It was not only a moment.
An eye
It,
opener.
it was an eye opener, and it was one of those things where you feel it pretty deeply
Yeah.
because we had put in a lot of time. But I understood it. The
Sure.
fact was, as a duet of two guys who really had no. I think with every duet, you've got that kind of issue.
Of
There were
course.
there were tensions, personal tensions,
Yeah.
without going into it.
Yeah.
It takes a heck of a lot. It takes a heck of a lot for a marriage to last.
Of
Little,
course. Yeah. It's the same kind of a thing.
it's the same kind of thing when you've got a duet, and
Yeah.
find me a duet where you don't have that. Uh,
So years later, did you guys ever get together for
oh,
any shows at all?
Paul and I were childhood friends. We always remained friends.
But I mean, on stage.
No, never got together. Yeah, we got together on stage when Nick Woods left the New Christian Minstrels.
Oh, okay.
Paul replaced him.
Oh, I didn't remember that. Okay.
Yeah, Paul replaced him in the New Christian Minstrels. We were together again, but we didn't do anything together.
Got
We each stayed on each other's side of the stage. It was it was kind of like a détente. But it's funny though when you grow up with somebody, it's like Paul's family. I mean,
Yeah.
Paul's sister is my close friend.
Nice.
I mean, I
Very
used to
nice.
spend time as a kid, but Paul and I kind of grew up together from pre-high school on.
In Brooklyn, right?
Well, he was from Patterson. We'd make trips. He'd stay in Brooklyn for a weekend. I'd stay in Patterson for a weekend. But I
Right.
knew his whole family.
Right. Okay. So you're a Brooklyn boy, though.
I'm a Brooklyn boy all the way.
I got it. So now we're going to talk baseball.
Oh,
Okay.
please.
So what does this
Yay.
place mean?
That's where my dad used to take me. I remember
Of
holding
course.
his hand. I mean, it's funny the thoughts that come back. I remember holding his hand. I remember the splintery boards in the bleachers out in left
Okay.
field. I've, isn't that funny? That's what I remember. My father said, don't slide from side to side on the benches.
You're going to get splinters in your leg.
You get splinters.
But they were Dodger splinters.
We didn't have a lot of money.
How far away did you live from Ebbets? Were you able to walk there?
No.
Okay.
I don't even remember how we got there. I was a little boy when we went
Sure.
to Evansfield. Then when I got into high school, I kind of lost. Baseball faded out. Other things took precedence.
Okay,
But,
that would have been about what year?
50, 51.
Ooh, okay. So were you not incredibly celebratory when the Dodgers finally won it in 55? Were you that much removed, or did you feel it?
Well, 65 when the Dodgers won it. Let me place myself in 65. No, I was jubilant. I was
Okay.
jubilant. when
I
they
mean,
did.
55 is like, that was Brooklyn's favorite year in the history of the city.
Yep. Oh no. The Dodgers were always present. I just didn't go to Ebbets Field.
No, I
But,
get it. I get it.
The Dodgers were in everybody. If you read Doris Kearns' book, Wait Till Next Year.
I did not, but I know of it.
Oh God, I'll give you my copy. You have to read it.
Oh, it's that good, huh?
Well, basically, it was this. If you looked at my neighborhood, the butcher would post the score as
Okay.
the game would progress. The score would be posted in the window of the butcher shop, so the people walking on the sidewalk would walk by, and they go 5-1 Dodgers. And everybody on the sidewalk would be cheering. So she chronicles that beautifully.
That's great.
Beautiful. Now there's a picture right there.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's Ebbets Field because there's the Schaefer sign. That was
exactly.
Cookie Lavagetto's wall.
Yeah.
He
This must
could-
bring
he
back
could-
unbelievable kid memories, though, for you.
Yeah, the kid made, here's my memories. See where it says Michael's all the way in left field?
Okay.
That's where we sat all the time.
Really? Okay.
Right there, wooden benches,
The cheap
splinters.
seats?
Cheap seats, real
They're
cheap
probably,
seats.
what, 25 cents then?
Yeah, I don't know if my father paid for it, but all I know is that I could almost reach out and touch number 4
Yeah, that's the Duke. We'll
on
get
the
to him in a
Duke,
minute.
on the Duke's jersey.
So here's when they're demolishing the place.
Yeah.
How do you recall your feelings at all when this happened?
Well, what year was that they demolished?
That would have
it?
been, I guess, about 58,
58. Yeah, I was out of Brooklyn.
Okay.
I was 58. We were flying to California. We were flying to Boulder, Colorado. We were big
Okay.
in Boulder. I was thinking about moving to Boulder, Colorado,
Yeah.
and I would be on the phone with my dad, and he was just beside himself.
I'm
the fact-
sure.
The fact that they were moving.
Okay, I love this picture. This is Jackie Robinson walking away from Ebbets Field. I think for the last time. I'm not positive about that, but what are the memories of Jackie mean to you?
My memories of Jackie are very, very vivid.
Nice.
Jackie, it's funny when I see all the movies about Jackie Robinson.
Yeah.
They don't capture the fact that he was bandy-legged.
Yes.
He was kind of bow-legged on one leg, and when he ran, it was kind of you could see him run and know it was Jackie Robinson. I don't
Exactly.
care and whenever I see a movie about Jackie Robinson and I see him running, stealing home, that's not Jackie Robinson.
Interesting. Very interesting.
He had one leg that kind of bowed out when he ran,
Yeah.
and yet he could outrun anybody just by his timing.
Exactly.
You know.
Exactly.
Yeah, that was my thing. Jackie and Duke were. Duke was one of my big heroes. You know who one of my heroes was as a little kid? It was Pete Reeser.
Pete Reeser. He's the one that, if I remember correctly, he ran into the wall.
He kept running into the wall more than
Yes.
once. And I was thinking, man, that guy's brave.
See, I remember Pete Reeser when I was a kid. He was the Dodger coach in L.A., but then I remember the stories hearing about it. I was like, yeah, he was always running. He must have ended up with a concussion for a lifetime. That
Yeah,
guy.
right. No, and who knows what those walls were made of back
Oh,
then?
jeez.
It's
I don't
probably
even want
just
to think about it.
concrete.
There's a few of your favorites in there, and there's number 4, the Duke. The
Yeah,
what are your recollections of the Duke of Flatbush?
the Duke of Flatbush.
Yeah.
Just it's funny. He was the closest Dodger to me when my dad took me there. He was
Was
out
that
there.
why he became your favorite because he was number 4 right in front of you?
Well, I could see him. No, I love Jackie. I love
Yeah.
Jackie. I love Gil Hodges.
Yeah, Gil
Gil
was great.
Hodges. Gil Hodges lived on 19th Street. I lived on Ocean Avenue, which was 20th Street.
Oh, did you see him in the neighborhood?
Yeah, I never saw him though.
Okay.
I never got to see him, but I had heard that was his house. Every time I pass it, we'd always look and say, Gil Hodges lives there.
Of course. All right, this is Carl Erskine. I told you about the podcast I did with Carl and Vin Scully, which was just spectacular. It's
Oh,
online. You can
that's
find it.
got to be wonderful.
Yeah, it's really great. And here he's leaving Brooklyn, and he said he felt Brooklyn was like his hometown in Indiana. It was like a small town where everybody knew everybody, and even though it was in New York, it felt the same to him.
Well, it's funny. When my family talked about going to Manhattan,
Yeah,
they would say we're going to New York.
interesting.
They would never. We did not live in New York. We lived in Brooklyn. New
Gotcha.
York was that place over there across the river.
Yeah,
That was New York. And when my mother said we have to go to New York shopping, we went. I knew what she meant.
interesting. Here's Carl Erskine with Walter O'Malley.
Yes,
Before
Walter.
they, yeah. So, do you hate Walter O'Malley to this day in your heart, or is it just one of those things where it's let bygones be bygones?
Well, it's not bygones be bygones. You learn from hard experience that business is business.
Yeah, but I just hear
And
the stories from those days where, like, Walter O'Malley was like, the worst person in the world to people in Brooklyn, and I understood why, of course.
sure,
But you didn't.
yeah,
It didn't linger with you then, huh?
yeah. I don't know. That stuff didn't affect me. These are
Okay.
the guys. These are the guys that I loved. I remember violent arguments in grade school, standing nose to nose with Arthur Maslansky, who was a Giant fan.
Okay.
That's a funny story. I mean,
Please tell it.
it's June 6th. Was that the date?
I don't recall.
That was the date. I was in Arthur Beslansky's apartment. He lived in one building away from me in Brooklyn.
Okay.
We all lived in apartment houses. And I was in 4C. He was in 1D,
Yeah.
and it was in his house because he had a television set. We watched that World Series game in his living room with his television set, just him and me. It was during the day his parents weren't there, and
There's
that
Gil.
was the day that Bobby Thompson hit the home run.
Okay.
And the announcer was screaming, "The Giants win the pennant! The Giants win the pennant!"
Yes, of course.
Uh, it's funny because we forgot about everything, and here I am working a job. I had finished my music career, and I had hung it up, and I went into business. I was sitting in my office in Van
Yeah.
Nuys, and it was on June 6th, on the day of that game, uh, years later, 1973, and phone rings, and uh, I got a secretary says, "Is this Mr. Podell?" I said, "Yes," and she said, "Please hold for Mr. Maslansky." And I said, "Mr. Maslansky, this is a kid that I hadn't seen." And all of a sudden, the voice comes on the phone. He goes, "Arthur?" I said, "Yeah." "The Giants win the pennant. The Giants win
Oh
the pennant.
no.
The Giants win the pennant." That was his word.
That's funny.
That was it.
Unbelievable.
It
Do you
turned out,
remember meeting any of the players at all? Did you ever hang out, get autographs, or get a chance to see them out of wherever after a game?
Um, just no, I've never had any really close personal contact
Interesting. Because
with
that's pretty
any.
much every kid's dream. You know that.
Yeah, I know. One of the gals in my group was having a minor love affair with one of the Dodgers. I remember at her house. But I don't want to mention any names.
Okay.
But
No problem. That's
uh,
funny.
it was one of the Dodgers that had a French name back in the '60s. So we'll leave it at that.
Okay. That's great. So here I was. This is about 20 years ago now, I guess, maybe a little longer. Uh, they had a Dodgers 55 reunion at Dodger Stadium. And a lot of, as many guys, almost everybody who was still alive then came in. And there's Carl Erskine and Don Newcomb uh, with Vinny talking to them in in the restaurant downstairs at Dodger Stadium. And I happened to be walking by and I got this quick picture as they were talking. And boy, this brings back a lot of memories. And I mean, this was the Brooklyn Dodgers right there for you.
Yep. Carl Erskine and Don
And
Newcomb. I
Newcomb.
remember Don very well.
Yep. Hell of a pitcher. And now here's a picture that means a lot to me. This is Sandy Koufax and Carl Erskine. This is at the end of this little hour or so that we all got together. Some of the guys went on stage and talked about their experiences in Brooklyn. And they walked over. There's a giant mural on the wall in this restaurant at Dodger Stadium behind home plate. And there's Sandy pointing at it. That's when the Brooklyn Dodgers won the championship. And he's talking to Carl. And to the right, you could see him just barely with number 36. That's Nuke.
Yeah.
And they're just, I couldn't hear them because they were looking the other direction. But I got a picture of Sandy pointing at the mural, and that's them reminiscing about their only championship in Brooklyn. That means a lot to me. Isn't that a great shot?
Here's a little interesting thing.
Yeah.
Um, I
That's
was
me and
very.
Carl, by the way.
Oh, that's of course. Is
That's at
that
Vero Beach.
you?
That's me and Carl at the last day at Vero Beach before the Dodgers moved out of there.
And what does that thing say around your neck?
That's
Radioactive. Stay away.
no, that's just my probably my press credential.
Okay.
Radioactive.
Anyway, so I was very friendly with. There's a funny little story. I
Okay.
was very friendly with the gal who wrote the lyrics to Carole King's big hit, "It's Too Late, Baby."
Yes.
You know, it's too late. Anyway, and this is long before she wrote that song. She and I
Right.
were really good friends right from the Troubadour on. And I went to visit her uncle's house or somebody's house, and I looked over, and there was somebody. I had to pick her up there. She was at some sort of a family gathering,
Yeah.
and she asked me to come and get her. So I went, picked her up, and I just came in for a minute, and I looked over, and I was saying, "That guy looks like Sandy Koufax to me."
Oh.
So I didn't say anything. I mean, just picked her up, and I said, "That looks like Sandy Koufax." She says, "Oh, Sandy is my cousin."
That is so great. I love it.
So, that's
Small world, right?
well, you run into funny things. It's funny you get close to a lot of stuff that has a lot of importance on a different level, and
Yeah.
it's of relative little importance to you, but uh, it's funny the way lives interact and touch each other.
Yeah, totally, totally. Um, I want to go over a little bit more of the transition. By the way, here's a picture you're going to love since this was you guy. Uh, here's me and Duke.
Oh yeah,
That
what
was
year
at the
was that?
This was, I think, about 2006 or seven, somewhere in there. The Dodgers had a three-game series at the Coliseum against the Red Sox, and they made it look like the old Coliseum when the Dodgers first moved here. And Duke was there with a bunch of, the original L.A. Dodgers. And we did an interview with him, and then we sat down and chatted, and somebody took this picture. It was very nice. Anyway, great
That's
memories.
but that's a great shot. That's
Yeah.
something you can treasure.
Oh, absolutely. All right. So what does this man mean to you, and what did he mean to the neighborhood as a young Jewish kid in Brooklyn from the area who's just trying to make it, and he was the wildest thrower of all time early on. He couldn't find the strike zone, but eventually he became the best.
Yeah, what he meant to me was exactly what you just said. I can't really add anything to it. I really can't. I don't have any just a sense of pride
An
that
inspiration.
it's pride and inspiration. The guy stood up for his principles.
Yeah.
He put things that were more important in front of silly things like career and getting ahead. I
You and
think
me and Sandy right there.
he's one of those people that to me is what a hero is.
Yeah. Yeah. And he's still around, and he just turned 90 not too long ago.
Well, he's older than that.
No, I think he just turned 90 of
did
this
he
past
just turn 90?
yeah, in December I think it was.
No kidding.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So
Don't
you guys are
hold,
only a few months apart, or
don't
you're
hold.
almost a year apart. Just about a year.
That's great.
What do you
No,
remember seeing him at all pitch in
yeah,
Brooklyn?
yeah. I mean, I was just always in awe. First of all, it was one of the most beautiful things to watch when he
Yeah.
pitched. He was a ballet dancer when he pitched.
Yeah.
His delivery was incredible.
Yeah, was there anything about like the talk of okay, but he's our neighborhood guy. He's not just in the majors. You know, he went to one of our high schools and all. I mean, do you remember any of that chatter at all?
No,
That
no, never. No, I knew that about him.
of
He was
course.
just one of my heroes.
Okay.
He was a guy who was a silent hero. I just knew that he was. Seemed to me to be a dependable guy.
Yeah.
That if I did know him, he would be dependable to. I could depend on him to do the right thing always. I mean,
Yeah.
he's truly an American hero.
Yeah, no doubt. And it's just so great that he's still around. You know, it's funny because everything you read when he was back in Brooklyn in those very early days, he was more known for his basketball than his baseball.
No kidding. I didn't know
Yeah.
that.
Yeah. I took this picture of Sandy and Rachel Robinson, Jackie's widow, and they had a statue day. They unveiled the statue of Jackie Robinson at Dodger Stadium about 15 years ago or so, and
Yeah, I remember that.
they were just it was like old friends just hanging out. Isn't that nice? That's me interviewing Sandy at a training camp about 15 years ago as well.
Oh, that's great. Well,
Yeah.
you've had quite a career.
Yeah, rubbed shoulders with a few crazy people. There's
Yeah,
Sandy in front of his statue.
right, right.
Isn't that?
His wind up was just incredible. I mean, just the
I
way.
actually love. I don't usually like statues because I think they're either overblown or hyped or. I mean, I think this is a great statue. It really
Yeah,
shows him pitching, doesn't it?
yeah, well, his wind up was just
Yeah, exactly.
incredible. I mean, just the amount of flexibility you got to have in your arms and legs to be
Yep,
able to do that.
yep. That's Sandy and his wife right there in front of the statue. And this is what I got for my bar mitzvah in in 1963 when the Dodgers were at their peak against the Yankees. They swept them that year in the World Series first time. Uh, my father knew Danny Goodman, who was the one who was in charge of all the souvenirs for the Dodgers, and he got me Koufax and Drysdale signed balls for my 13th birthday and a Dodger
Wow.
jacket. Isn't that
Where'd
nice?
you grow up?
Here in L.A., in
Oh,
Culver
yeah?
City at that time. Yeah,
Well,
yeah, very special times. And Sandy ended up incredibly in TV, which was the anti Koufax because he was not the type of guy that he wanted to be more to himself. And here he was being a broadcaster, and he was pretty good. He was pretty good, but he only did it for a few years.
Yeah.
and it really wasn't his thing. I still have this when Sandy retired. I still have these newspaper clippings when I was about I guess 13 at the time.
Yeah.
So it meant a lot. That's Sandy and Ross Porter. They did
Yeah.
basketball. They called basketball games because Sandy was a basketball guy. He told me of a story. He went to University of Cincinnati, and he dunked the ball. By the way,
Who, Sandy?
yeah, absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely.
How tall was Sandy?
You know what? I want to say about 6'1", maybe. I think 6'2", maybe somewhere in there.
Yeah.
And that's Sandy talking to
Yeah.
the Dodgers
Dave,
manager, Dave Roberts.
Dave
Anyway,
Roberts. Yeah.
that's a lot of my memories there. And there's you and me at McCabe's.
That's
So
you and me became, that's the important picture.
exactly. So let's talk about McCabe's and what that place has meant to you before we get into a little bit more of your music to wrap this show up.
Sure.
When's the first time you played McCabe's? Do you remember?
Actually, the first time we played McCabe, no, I don't remember. I played over the years, but I never played McCabe's back in the day.
Oh,
Back
okay.
when we were with well, first of all, when Art and Paul first hit Los Angeles,
Yeah.
um, we were uh, accepted incredibly well by one segment of the audience,
Okay.
the new folk music audience, the people that had just come into folk music.
Right.
They loved us, but the hardcore traditional folk singers,
Okay.
uh, kind of we confused them, and that's being polite. I think in a lot of ways,
Right.
we may have offended them because we didn't stick to the traditional approach to folk music. We didn't
Right.
try to emulate what Pappy Gray Pants played on the porch of his cabin in Mississippi. We took
Yeah.
it and we added new chords and we did arrangements and we took the music and developed it according to our cultural standard,
Okay.
which was creative to add to the music creatively and tell the
Got it.
story. And so a lot of that whole genre of folk singers resented us, and that was what was happening at McCabe's.
Okay.
Uh, McCabe's and the Ash Grove were
Yes.
two places where if you played traditional music as well as the traditional artists or better, that's where you went. But
Yep.
if you went to the Troubadour, that's where you could do entertainment on your own
Yep.
terms, and
Right.
that was our home. So McCabe's was kind of like off limits for us.
Okay.
Now
Interesting.
things have changed.
Yes, exactly.
McCabe is in the business of acoustic entertainment or anything that is close to it that can draw a crowd,
Yep.
uh, and they're true to their roots, which is they're a business.
Yeah, and
And
here you are with your friends. I think did you say this all started around the COVID? That you were doing Zoom calls. Is that correct?
in the big round, yeah, in the big round,
Yeah.
it started with COVID. Um, it actually started with John Zipperer. I'm
Yep.
looking at the poster. Tracy and Ken
Okay.
Home. Three friends. Plus, I think there were a couple of other people involved. And a few years ago, I don't remember how many, maybe 3 or 4, 5 years ago,
Yep.
I remember being in the lobby of McCabe's
Okay.
and with John and Tracy. And Tracy said, "Well, I'll see you Wednesday morning." And I said, "What's happening Wednesday morning?"
Yeah.
He said, "Oh, we've just been getting together and on Zoom since the pandemic,
Yeah.
and we've been critiquing each other's songs." And I said, "Well, what the hell do I have to do to get in on that?" Uh, and they looked at each other like it's been a closed thing, and I don't know, do we let this upstart kid get in? And I said, "Well, you know, uh, I'm here, just knock, knock, you know. So anyway, eventually we all got it. So this is a gang of people that just gets together and we perform for each other. Sometimes we'll bring the same song back 3 weeks in a row, four
Yeah, it's
weeks
so
in a
much
row.
fun. I've seen you a few times there, and you guys, I just usually have like two songs each, and then you go to the next person, right?
Yeah, and we go to the next person. But the point is, each one of us has a different approach
Yeah,
to it. And
exactly.
and when we get together, it's not like a performance. It's we're very rough on each other.
Yeah,
I
exactly.
mean, somebody sings a song, somebody says, you got to change that second verse. You know, I don't want to hurt your feelings, but I'm going to hurt your feelings. That third
Exactly.
verse sucks, you know, and we really like that. And
Okay,
so we've been doing it for 5 years now,
that's
whatever,
great.
5 or 6 years, and it's something that we all look forward to. And
Yes.
it's almost like a therapy group therapy
Oh,
for folks,
you
for
guys just,
songwriters.
it's so obvious that you're friends the way you bounce off each other on stage.
Well,
It's
we
just
tolerate each other. That's true.
exactly. It's a lot of fun, and you only do that as a pastime because your full time job is playing ball in the valley.
Yeah, my
So what?
full-time job is striking out, as you can see, right?
Wait a minute. I've seen you hit the ball. Don't tell me you're just striking out.
Oh, okay, all right, yeah.
I
Well,
like
that's
this
what.
picture. These are pictures I took. I think I sent them to you a few years ago, but you wouldn't remember. I love this one. It looks like it's the umpire saying, "Get your ass back in the batter's box."
No, the umpire is saying that was a strike, and I'm looking at him and saying,
Like you
"What?"
dreaming? You blind bat. That's
Yeah, that
funny.
was when I was with the Indians. The
Yep.
Indians are we play senior softball,
Yep.
and it's sponsored by the city of Los Angeles,
It's great.
and yeah, we play on city fields, and they're well maintained by the city. City provides umpires for
Yep.
us. You can see it's a really great field. We play
Yeah.
ball there. There's a senior league which starts at age 55. There's one that starts at age 45.
Yep.
There's one that starts at age 65.
Okay.
And all the leagues have filled up. They're starting to think now about another league that starts at age 75.
Okay. Well, in about 6 weeks or maybe 2 months, they're going to have to start one that starts at 90 for you.
I think I'll be the only one in the league. I think
Well,
there's
that way
two
you
of
can
us.
guaranteed to be undefeated.
There's two of us. They'll be undefeated. Yeah, no, I mean, knock wood, I'm still able to do it. To do it.
Okay, so explain to the average human how a guy your age is playing ball on a regular basis and loving every second of it. There's a lot of guys that are saying, "Hey, I can't. My body won't even let me watch the game anymore."
You know something? I lived through the music business,
Okay.
and if with all the things that people in the music business are rumored to have done,
Oh
I've
yeah.
done. I've done. Why this body has survived as it has, I couldn't give you one reason. I've
Really.
given, I couldn't give you
Well,
one
there's no
reason.
secret sauce. There's a lot of luck involved.
Just there's a lot of luck involved. And just that maybe in the last more than several years, I straightened up and flew right. But
Okay. Well, good for you.
and there's no solution to it. I think it's the luck of the draw, it's genetics,
Yep.
and also you got to pay attention. I don't abuse anything. I
Sure.
don't abuse food. I don't abuse any of the other things. So,
Right. That's good.
but as long as I can play, I'll play. I don't run anymore, although I can.
Yeah.
In senior softball, I can select to have somebody run for me.
That's
But
just being smart, Art. That's all.
well, but I enjoy running. I'm just not fast enough. I feel like if I can get somebody to run for me, it's better for the team
No, I
because
get it.
by the time I get to first base, I could have probably gotten somebody else. But it's 10 years ago. I could have gotten to second. But I do play right field, and I do get
Well, you were
around.
playing left the last time I saw you, I think.
Yeah, now I'm in right field now.
Okay.
And,
Well, they want the
and
big arm. Is that why you play right field?
no, they just want to get as few fly balls as possible.
Oh, Oh, God. You
Because
know, the
most of
majors they put the best arm in right field, and but when I was younger, they put the worst player in right field because there were fewer left-handed hitters hitting the ball out there.
well, if you're a fan of Peter, Paul, and Mary, Noel Stuckey wrote a song.
Okay.
Paul wrote a song called Right Field,
Oh, okay. I don't remember that.
and, and it's hysterical.
Really? I'll have to check that. It's on an album?
It's I forgot what album it's on, but just look it up online on YouTube. Just
Oh,
Right Field
definitely.
By Paul Stuckey.
That's great. Outstanding.
Yeah,
Okay, can
yeah.
you get your we're gonna do this for about 10 more minutes. Can you get your guitar out again, please? And strum
Sure.
a few. I want to hear a couple of your old Art and Paul songs that are your favorites that
No,
you
the
can play in your sleep.
Art and Paul stays where it is. It. You can't do an Art and Paul song without Art and Paul. Uh,
But you can just even strum it. Just you don't even have to sing it.
no,
Just
you
so
know
people
what?
can.
How about this one instead?
Okay.
The song that I sing. I do a radio show on KPFK, and I
Yes.
wrote a song a few years ago that's turned into a theme song for me.
Oh,
But
nice.
the thing is, it's about Art and Paul.
Okay. I love to hear it.
So instead of it being an Art and Paul song, we did. You can't do an Art and Paul song without Art and Paul.
I got you.
You know, because
Okay.
the songs we did really because of the intricate arrangements we did.
Sure.
You have to have both people here, but this song kind of has become a theme song.
All right. What's the name of it?
It's called "We Sang Our Songs in California."
Oh, I like that song. Please play that. Thanks.
You hear it?
Yes, sounds great.
Well, we traveled all alone across this wide open country, running from the long years, looking back on hard times. Packed up all our songs and the memories inside them. Slipped the keys into the mailbox, left yesterday behind. Just a tinker dog and Paul, an old Bart and a banjo. Chevy engine rumbling like a rusty old train. A box of donuts, some coffee, that'll get you past Chicago. Setting sun to guide you through the thunder and the rain. And we sang our songs in California
Nice.
as we stood on that long Pacific shore. Sang our songs in California, and they sounded like they sounded when we sang them all before. But we felt young and free, like we felt before. Down to Route 66, past the mountains west of Denver. Camp out in the desert where it meets the Great Divide. Stop when we were hungry just to sing for our supper. Drop a dime on 00 just to let them know we tried. And we sang our songs in California as we stood on that long Pacific shore. Sang our songs in California, and they sounded like they sounded when we sang them all before. And we felt young and free, like we felt before. Do you believe there's magic for the dreamer? Do you believe this song can be his prayer? Well, I believe the music was waiting for us there. In the magic of the sunrise, reaching down a sleepy canyon, mighty ocean waters crashing down upon the sand. In a shooting star above you that whispers in the silence, You can find your dreams here. You can hold them in your hand. And we sang our songs in California as we stood on the Pacific shore. Sang our songs in California, and they sounded like they sounded when we sang long before, and we felt very free, like we felt before. Come on, Dink, get in the car.
Beautiful. Ooh, it's that last tone. We got to have that note, baby. That made it. What about a song, Art? As far as the early days that like I think you did some stuff with Rod McEwen. Is that correct?
And I wrote a song with Rod McEwen.
Because he was one of the great songwriters for decades.
Yeah, yeah, it's really funny. We went up to his house, and he was sitting on the front porch, lying in a hammock.
Was this in New York?
No, it was in California.
Oh, okay.
And I was with Barry McGuire. And McGuire
Yeah.
said, "Hey, this is my friend Artie. He really writes good songs." And so Rod says,
Oh,
"Oh yeah,
nice.
you write good songs. Try writing a lyric to this." And he gave me a piece of paper, and I had a tape recorder with me. So I went out on the front porch while he and Barry were talking, and I wrote the song while they were talking, and
Okay.
and that was it. I don't know if I could do it. I don't know if I remember it.
Been a long time, huh?
I can't remember it, but it's
That's
called.
you and Barry up there on the stage there.
Yeah, that's me and Barry at the coffee gallery backstage in Pasadena before
Oh,
it
nice.
closed.
Very nice. Yeah.
Yeah,
Tell
it's
everybody
very.
what did Barry do to change the sound of even the Christy Minstrels then? I mean, he had such a distinct voice. I know you talked about your lead singers and stuff, how great they were, but Barry was totally different. He was like a
Yeah.
belter, and he was just
Well, you know
unusual.
something? Barry was a ballad singer when I met him.
Okay.
He was a ballad singer when I met him, and he sang very smoothly and very softly.
Okay.
Then I remember Barry and I went and we heard a fellow by the name of Dino Valenti, who is a great folk singer from
Yeah.
the group. Yeah, Dino, and Dino wrote. Tino's the guy that actually wrote the song "Love Is But a Song We Sing." Come on, people, get together.
Oh, it's one of my favorite songs.
Your
The
brother-
Youngbloods.
Yeah, well, that was Dino's song.
Okay.
But we saw Dino do a show, and he sang a song called "Green, Green Rocky Road," which is an
Yeah.
old folk song. Promenade in green, green rocky road. Promenade in green. Tell me who you love. Tell me who you love. That was the
Okay.
song, and Barry loved it. So he sat down and he came up with "Green, Green." It's green, they say, on the far
Yeah.
side of the hill, which was a hit song for the Christies. But he sang it in the recording, and it just wasn't right. This is really a classic story. And then finally, what happened was Randy Sparks said, "Barry, why don't you sing it like you're Wallace Beery? Use that Wallace Beery voice that you use every now and then to
The
tell a joke.
gruffness, right?
Yeah, use that green." So Barry did it. He wrote the day. He said, "From that day on, that's all they wanted me to do."
Oh,
You know,
wow.
But that's what made that song a hit record.
And that sound is also what made Eve of Destruction. When we
That's
talked
what
about
they
that,
did.
he had, I mean, when we did our show and we talked about it, there was nobody in the world who could have sang that song the way he did.
No. It was magical, and it made a career for him.
Yep. Yep.
He still sounds like that.
Yes, he does. That's great. And what was the best thing about the Christies that when you look back on it, it just stands out in your mind. Just, I mean, you guys went from uh, whatever, so much touring, you ended up in the White House even
We ended up at the White House twice.
twice. How did that
Well,
happen?
some of the things that happened in the Christies are in my show, and some of
Yeah.
them are
Okay.
some
Well,
of
I
them
don't want to
are,
steal your show, but we can just give a
some
little
of,
feel for
some of them are hysterical. Some of the things that happened to us along the way, where there's one that, well, I closed the show with a story that happened in the White House that nobody knows
it.
about.
So
But
was Kennedy or was it Johnson at the time?
it was Lyndon Johnson.
It was Johnson. Okay.
It was Lyndon Johnson was in
Okay.
the White House at the time.
Was he a
And
fan at least?
yeah, very, very hospitable. It's really funny. You look at the White House today and everything. I was kind of, at the time we were at the White House, I was kind of running the group on the road. I
Oh,
was
okay.
kind of, I was like the designated New Christy minstrel. And so I was in and out of the White House, and I'd walk into the White House wearing a big black coat,
Okay.
a mohair coat, carrying a guitar case that was locked. And I'd walk by security and they go, "Hi, Art." You know, I today today I probably would have been scanned by. They would have searched every pocket and opened every guitar case and looked
Yeah.
inside. And I would just go in there. Oh,
Really,
hi.
just
Oh,
walk in like you're an old friend of the place.
just walk in and out.
Wow.
And it was a different culture back then.
So who did you play for when you were there? Was it the
Lyndon,
president and his entourage, or
well, we played for Lyndon Johnson. It was what happened was we had been invited by John Kennedy in
okay?
December.
Oh wow.
In for December, we were when we were in Europe. We were invited by John Kennedy, and when he was assassinated, the
Wow.
Johnson administration honored the
Oh,
invitation.
okay. That was
And
the first time then, right?
the first time. It was the first state visit by a foreign dignitary. The president of Italy, Segni, was invited to the White House on that night, and we were to be part of the entertainment. They had the operatic tenor Robert Merrill
Sure.
performed, and then we performed. And
Okay.
I've got the invitation, and I've got all that stuff framed. But it was a different White House. It was.
Of
I
course.
mean,
It's a
I
different
mean,
world by far.
I asked, where the bathroom. He says, "Well, this bathroom is being fixed. Why don't you go up to the president's quarters?"
Oh
And the guy,
no. Are
the
you
guy,
serious?
the Secret Service guy told me, he said, just go up those stairs and then turn right,
Wow. And
up
that's
to
the
that.
same urinal that Abe Lincoln used, right? Is that what it
No,
said?
it wasn't. It was another one. It wasn't his quarters, but it was up in that direction. And
Okay.
it was kind of like everything was like, we know you, were all friends. It was a much more peaceful time.
Wow. So did you get a chance to speak to the president at all, or was it just a
Not,
quick wave
not,
or something?
not much. He was there. He was very kind. He was very, very, very good to us. We were there twice.
Yeah.
Uh, the second time, well, the second time we went, we did a concert for his daughter's friends and all the kids of all the diplomatic corps
Okay.
from all countries. They put on a special concert, and something happened at that concert, which is part of the show, which I can't. I can't.
No, that's fine.
I don't want to give it away, but it's something that still has me laughing. So you
That
want to
was
hear that one? You got to want to hear that one. You got to come to the Boulevard Music
gotcha.
on the 10th of October.
So that was the like Lucy Baines and all the
Lucy,
Johnson and
Lucy and
Linda Baines. That's right.
and
Yes.
her friends. Yeah.
Yes. That I was only like 13, 14, but I remember that so well. But I didn't know. You never told me the timing of the assassination of JFK, and then you were there a month later.
Yeah. Well, we were there at the first official
Wow.
event at the White House. After that had happened,
Wow. That's
we were
crazy.
there in February. and it
God,
happened in December.
the world was so different. It must have been just strange knowing that you were playing there because the focus was on, how are we going to get through this period? It was so different for us, you know.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, it was a different time. It was interesting. There was a division in the folk music world. You know, at that time, folk music was very political, and
Sure.
if you weren't on that side,
Yep.
you weren't part of that movement. You weren't part of the folk music world. That's why the new Christy Minstrels, you know, we were on one side of the folk spectrum, and the other guys were on the other side of the folk
Like Bob
spectrum.
Dylan or more of
Well,
the
there
anti-war
was,
stuff, right?
there was the protest movement, and the New Christian Minstrels were basically not a political group. We
Right.
were resurrecting we were resurrecting American folk music, folklore, but more on a commercial level. We were pure entertainment. Um, and then, frankly, it was time for us to leave. In fact, when the first time I heard a Beatles record,
Yeah.
um, it was I think somebody asked me on a TV interview. They said, "What did you think when you first heard the Beatles?" And I said, "Why don't you ask the guys on the deck of the Poseidon what they thought when they first saw the wave on the horizon?"
That's wild.
You know.
But that
But,
changed everything, though, didn't it? The Beatles. I mean, in so many different ways because they were they were just so unique at the time.
well, it was a resurgence of rock and roll done right.
Right.
That was the first blush. I remember the first time we met them in England when
Yeah.
we came back from Italy in 1964 from having won the San Remo Music Festival, which is
Yes.
a popular music festival, and we ended up to a stopover in London. We did a concert for Brian Epstein,
Yeah.
who was the Beatles manager. And just then the Beatles were just starting to gain some popularity uh, internationally.
Yeah.
And so after the concert we did for Brian, it was a Christmas concert. He said, "My boys are playing at a theater across town. I'd like you to meet them." So he piled us into two limousines, and we went backstage at a theater where the Beatles were performing, and we sat there and watched them. We watched the crowd and watched the Beatles, and we looked at each other and we said, "Well, it's over." You know, we
Really.
said, "It's over. This is not going to be stopped."
This is the new era officially, right?
Yeah. This is not going to be stopped.
Wow.
They're not going to. They lost our place on the dial. You know.
Yeah. Well, to wrap up this part of it, what do you tell some of the younger generation? Oh, the Beatles were overrated, and they're just a hype and all that kind. I mean, what do you tell those people that you lived it and how they changed the world literally in so many
Well,
ways?
what the Beatles did was something very unusual, and it deserves mention. I'm a great fan of world music. I always have been.
Yeah.
I went to a kind of an elite school, and I heard music from all over the world. I heard Ravi Shankar. In
Sure.
fact, at concert at Columbia University, I was chosen to pick Ravi Shankar up at the airport
Oh,
when he
nice.
made his first visit to the United
So you
States.
met him before George Harrison did.
Right, right. I remember going off the plane with this big carpet rolled up.
Yes.
anyway, anyway, the, the fact of the matter is that before the Beatles, there were pockets of music all over the world
Yeah.
that that had been undiscovered. And I felt pride in the fact that I could dip into some of these little pockets and bring them into a concert, sing an Israeli song here, or this song there. The
Yeah.
Beatles took everything that had been done before them and laid it out on a buffet table for the world to see. They
Interesting.
they emptied the library out and put it out on the front deck and let everybody see it. George Harrison took Indian raga music.
Yeah.
Uh, They took rock and roll, they took blues, they took every genre of music that had been hidden slightly that different artists would dip into and bring to the people. They just laid it out like a big buffet for the world to see. And it was almost as though, well, there's nothing left to discover. They they basically showed us a roadmap. They printed a Thomas guide for everything, you know.
That's
And
incredible. And when
and
you think about it too, how young they were, right? I mean, these guys, some of them were still teenagers or early 20s when they're changing the entire musical world.
yeah, they no, they were a phenomenon that doesn't come along once a generation.
Yeah.
That comes along once every 10 generations, maybe I don't know.
Yeah. All right. To wrap this up, this is the first time we met was at the Grammy Museum when you guys did a Laurel Canyon thing uh, more than 10 years ago now uh,
Yeah,
with Henry Diltz and Mickey Dolenz and the folks.
yeah, I remember that. I remember
And
that
I
day.
told you about my KFWB background, and you used to listen to the station, and I just love that connection, the LA thing, especially from the '60s, right?
Well, I'm still on KPFK every
Yes, you
third
are.
Saturday of the month. I try to bring some of this old music that I talk about
Yeah,
uh, to today's listening public. That's a source of great satisfaction.
I'm sure it
Anyway,
is. It's a fun show too. I enjoy listening. So
but the
again, tell
folk,
everybody about your show coming up on the 10th.
well, it's coming up on the 10th. I did it in Tehachapi, and I just did a whole bunch of readings of things that happened to me and things
Nice.
that happened in the folk music. I interlaced it with a little bit of music,
Yeah,
a little banjo, a little ukulele, a little guitar, and a little solo stuff. And some of these stories are just, and I was just amazed at the reception. It was so positive and so good. They insisted that I do it down here for their friends and family who do it. And I'm doing the same show at Boulevard Music. You can go to their website,
yeah.
boulevardmusic.com.
In
And
Culver City.
in Culver City, go to the website. You can see the show listed on their chart. If you click on it, you can get some tickets right then and there. And I'd love
Yeah,
to see you there. And it'll be fun to do it for your gang, Ted.
yeah, exactly.
I'll
How
try
how
to.
great would it have been to have your old partner Paul there for this?
It would have been fabulous to have Paul there. Paul left us this last year and
Yeah,
had a very satisfying life afterwards. He became a religious person. And we visited his family and his community to put him to rest a few months ago.
yeah,
And he'll always be a part of me.
absolutely. Well, Art, I really appreciate the time. It's just been
Well, Ted,
fantastic.
I'm humbled by the fact that you invited me, and I hope I provided you with some satisfaction here.
Well, you know it from our previous shows and our chats how much I loved the Christy Minstrels as a kid because my close friend Carl, his dad used to play folk songs when I was a before I was a teen, and they had the Christy Minstrels albums, and I just love that stuff. I don't know what to tell you.
Yeah, it's historical. It's good. Anyway, there's some
They don't
fun
make
stories.
music like that anymore, right?
Well, I don't know if they do or they don't. They do or they don't. But
Or are they
actually,
hiding it if they do?
but some of the stories are from those days with the Christies, and some of the stories I tell at my show.
Yeah.
I think anybody can enjoy them.
And I'm going to drop one more picture in here real quick. Look at this lady, Rachel Robinson. Okay, I
Wow,
interviewed her about 15 years ago. She's still around. I think she just turned 104, if I got that right.
holy cow!
So you're just a kid, Art.
Oh gosh, God bless her. God
Isn't that
bless her.
great? She's still around. They got the Jackie Robinson Foundation in New York. And you talk about a special lady. It doesn't get
Yep,
much better than this.
you got that right.
It's just,
Yep.
I just wanted to show that because I wanted to show you, you're just a
What
baby compared to these
what
kids.
that family did for baseball and just for humanity was just wonderful.
Yeah, and more importantly for humanity, It's the most underappreciated historic time, I think. Than it's appreciated by some, but I think people don't know. They just think of it as baseball only.
I still see that bandy-legged guy stealing home in my brain.
Exactly. All right, Art Podell, thank you so much for the time. Have a great show. And we'll see you there. I'll be there in Culver. That's where I grew up.
I sure hope so.
Absolutely. That's
I
Art
hope you
Podell,
do.
everybody. I hope you enjoy the show, and go check it out October 10th in Culver City at Boulevard Music.
October 10th.
You got it. All right, all the best.
Bye.
Okay.